Sometimes we stumble upon the stories that remind us why we're still here, still fighting, still believing in second chances, even when our bones ache and our hearts have been broken more times than we care to count. This is one of those stories. It found me the way most important things do, when I wasn't looking for it. A friend sent me a newspaper clipping about a forgotten hero, a dog named Cooper, locked away for 12 winters in Montana. But this isn't really about a dog, is it? It's about all of us who've been caged by life, by loss, by our own failures. It's about a billionaire who had everything except the one thing money couldn't buy: forgiveness for the ghosts he couldn't save. Settle in. And friends, this one might hurt before it heals. The bolt cutter slipped from Jackson Whitaker's frozen fingers, clanging against the chain-link fence. 3:47 in the morning, December 12th, and the temperature gauge in his abandoned Mercedes read -18. He should have been in San Francisco, in his climate-controlled penthouse, preparing for another Christmas of expensive scotch and calculated avoidance. Instead, he was breaking into private property in Whitefish, Montana. His Italian leather shoes already ruined by snow, and something else, something dark and sticky that covered the ground around the cage. The smell hit him first. Not death, exactly, something worse. Resignation. The same smell that had clung to his father's clothes those last months after his release from federal prison. Jackson retrieved the bolt cutters with numb hands, positioning them against the padlock. Inside the cage, Christ, it was barely big enough for a child's bicycle. Something moved, a shadow shifting against shadows. "Don't be dead," he whispered. "Please, don't be dead." The lock gave way with a scream of frozen metal. Jackson pulled open the gate, its hinges protesting with rust and ice. He activated his phone's flashlight and immediately wished he hadn't. The German Shepherd lay on bare concrete, ribs creating ridges beneath patchy fur. But it was the eyes that stopped Jackson cold, open, staring, but not seeing, not dead. Something worse. The dog had simply stopped expecting anything to change. Cooper. This was Cooper, the hero dog who'd saved 6 people, pulled a child from an avalanche, served the Montana Search and Rescue with distinction. The local newspaper article hadn't prepared Jackson for this. The photo had been old, from Cooper's glory days. This was deliberate cruelty refined to an art. Jackson dropped to his knees in the filth. The dog didn't react, didn't growl, didn't flinch, didn't even blink, just breathed, each exhale creating a small cloud that disappeared into the Montana darkness. "Cooper!" His voice cracked. "I'm getting you out." Nothing. The dog might have been carved from stone, if not for those small, persistent clouds of breath. Jackson reached out slowly, his hand trembling from more than cold. His fingers touched matted fur, felt the prominent spine, the hollow space between ribs. The dog's skin was ice cold, body temperature dropping toward death. How many nights like this? How many winters? A door slammed somewhere. Jackson's head snapped up. Footsteps crunched through, heading toward them. He grabbed for the bolt cutters, then realized how absurd that was. A 52-year-old tech executive preparing to fight someone with stolen tools. "Cooper!" A man's voice, slurred with alcohol or drugs. "You better not be dying on me, you worthless mutt. Still got people coming to see you tomorrow." The footstep had stopped. Jackson held his breath, one hand still on Cooper's skeletal frame. The dog hadn't reacted to its owner's voice. No fear, no recognition, nothing. Who the hell? Tommy Harrison rounded the corner of the trailer, baseball bat in hand. Even in the darkness, Jackson could see the calculation in his eyes. Expensive coat, nice watch, out-of-state plates on the Mercedes visible from here. "I'm taking the dog," Jackson said quietly. Tommy laughed. "A sound like breaking glass. That's my $1 million mutt you're touching, old man. Hero dog, they called him. People pay good money to see him. Chinese tourists, especially. Love taking pictures of the famous Cooper. He's dying. He's been dying for 9 years. Still brings in cash." Jackson stood slowly, his knees protesting. "How much? How much what? For the dog? How much?" Tommy's grin revealed missing teeth. "You one of those bleeding heart animal lovers saw the article and thought you'd save the day." He tapped the bat against his palm. 100,000. Deal. The bat stopped moving. "You're serious? I have 10,000 in my car. Cash. The rest I'll wire. No deal." Tommy stepped closer. Jackson could smell the meth now, the sweat and paranoia. "You think I'm stupid? You'll take him and disappear. Call the cops. I know your type." Jackson looked back at Cooper, still motionless on the concrete. "Then what do you want? You want the dog. You come back tomorrow. Noon. Bring the full 100K in cash. Until then—" Tommy raised the bat. "You're trespassing." Jackson didn't move. "He won't survive another night. He's survived 3,000 nights. One more won't matter." The bat swung past Jackson's head, missing by inches. A warning, not an attempt. Jackson felt his phone recording in his pocket. Grateful he'd started it when he heard the door slam. "Noon tomorrow," Tommy said. "Cash, or I sell him to the dog fighters in Kalispell. They've been offering 20K just to use him as bait. Imagine what those other rescue dogs would do to their fallen hero." Jackson backed toward the gate, his eyes still on Cooper. The dog hadn't moved during the entire confrontation, hadn't even lifted his head. "Oh, and Mr. Tommy called. You mention this to anyone, cops included, and I'll put him down myself. Claim he was rabid. Who's gonna check?" Jackson forced himself to walk away, each step feeling like betrayal. Behind him, he heard the cage door slam shut, the sound of a new padlock clicking into place. He made it to his car before his legs gave out, sitting in the driver's seat, hands shaking. He pulled out his phone to stop the recording. That's when he saw it. Illuminated by the dome light, blood on his hands from where he'd touched Cooper. Fresh blood. But there was something else. Something that had transferred from Cooper's matted fur to his palm. Jackson held his hand to the light, squinting at what looked like writing ink on fur, smeared but still partially legible. 3 letters, I-H-E-L, and part of a 4th letter that might have been another L or a P. Help. Someone had written help on Cooper's fur recently, based on how the ink transferred. But Tommy couldn't write. Jackson had seen enough meth casualties to recognize the hand tremors, the motor function damage. So who? A text buzzed on his phone. Unknown number. Jackson opened it with bloody fingers. "You found him. Good. Check under the blue trailer's back steps. Hurry, before Tommy sobers up enough to remember what he buried there." Jackson looked back toward Tommy's property. The blue trailer squatted against the tree line like a cancer, its back steps just visible in the growing dawn light. Whatever was under there, someone wanted him to find it. Someone who had access to Cooper, who knew Jackson would come, who was desperate enough to write on a dying dog's fur. Someone who might be the key to saving Cooper, or the reason he was dying in the first place. Jackson turned off his phone's location services, grabbed the tire iron from his trunk, and headed back into the darkness. Behind him, the sun was just beginning to bleed across the Montana mountains, Christmas Eve arriving with all the promise of a funeral. He had 30 seconds, maybe a minute, before Tommy finished his morning ritual of meth and paranoia. 30 seconds to find what was buried beneath those steps. 30 seconds to discover why someone had turned a hero into a ghost. The tire iron bit into frozen earth. Once, twice. Metal struck metal. Before we continue, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know which city you're watching from. Now, let's get back to the story. The tire iron scraped against metal again. Jackson's knees pressed into frozen mud as he clawed at the earth with bare fingers. The object emerged a lockbox, red rust bleeding through green paint, military surplus, the kind his father had used to store discharge papers. A door creaked above. Jackson grabbed the box and rolled under the trailer's belly, pine needles stabbing through his coat. Tommy's boots appeared 3 feet from his face, work boots held together with duct tape. The man urinated off the steps, steam rising in the dawn air. "Cooper!" Tommy's voice carried that particular rage of a high wearing off. "You better not have died, you piece of—" The boots shuffled away. Jackson counted to 60, watching his breath fog in the crawl space. Twice he started to move, twice he stopped, remembering that sound, the specific weight of a baseball bat against palm. When Tommy's footsteps faded toward the cage, Jackson crawled out backward, lockbox clutched against his chest. His Mercedes sat 40 yards through open ground, no cover. He ran hunched over, waiting for Tommy's shout, the crack of a rifle. Nothing, just his own ragged breathing, and the lockbox's contents, shifting papers, and something heavier. Inside the car, doors locked. Jackson forced the box open with the tire iron. The lock gave way easier than it should have. Someone had already broken it once, repaired it clumsily. Photos spilled out first. Cooper in his prime, muscled, alert, wearing search and rescue vest. Cooper with a man in uniform, both covered in mud, grinning. The handler's name tag Morrison. Then darker photos. Cooper getting thinner, dates written on backs, December 2017, March 2016. July 20s, a documentary of deliberate starvation. Under the photos, veterinary records, Dr. Elizabeth Chen's signature. Severe malnutrition, kidney damage, recommending immediate removal from current environment. Dated 18 months ago. Then the heavy thing, a flip phone wrapped in plastic. Jackson powered it on 13% battery. One video file. Jim Morrison's face filled the small screen. Hospital bed visible behind him. Oxygen tube in his nose. If you're watching this, I'm dead, and Tommy has Cooper. The dying man paused, struggled for breath. Tommy's been poisoning me. Arsenic in my coffee. Can't prove it yet. Too weak to fight. But he'll hurt Cooper to get the insurance money. Cooper's worth more dead than alive. Policy pays out $50,000. Please, whoever finds this. The video cut off. Jackson checked the date stamp. 3 days before Morrison's official death from heart failure. His phone buzzed. The unknown number again. Tommy just remembered the box. He's coming. You have 30 seconds. M. Jackson looked up. Tommy was running toward the Mercedes, bat in hand, 2 other men behind him. But that wasn't what made Jackson's blood freeze. One of the men carried a gas can. The Mercedes engine turned over nothing. Jackson pumped the gas pedal. The starter clicked like Cooper's labored breathing. Tommy was 20 yards out, morning sun catching the gas can's metal surface. Jackson grabbed the lockbox and phone, shoved them under the passenger seat. His fingers found the tire iron. The driver's side window exploded Tommy's bat on the backswing. Glass cubes scattered across Jackson's lap. You think you're smart. Tommy's pupils were pinpricks, jaw grinding, breaking into my property. The second man, younger, maybe 20, circled to the passenger side. Prison tattoos crawled up his neck. The third stayed back, asking loose in his grip. watching the tree line like he expected cops. Jackson held the tire iron low, hidden against the door. I knocked. Your dog was dying. My dog, my property. Tommy leaned through the broken window, breath sour with chemicals and tooth decay. You're one of those investigators, aren't you? That bitch vet sent you. Tucked her chin, the signature on the veterinary records. I don't know any vet. Jackson's thumb found his phone in his coat pocket, pressed what he hoped was the emergency call button. I saw the article about Cooper, wanted to help. Tommy's laugh sprayed spit across Jackson's face. Help! You were digging under my trailer, looking for a water bowl for the dog. The bat swung past Jackson's ear, cracking against the headrest. Try again. The younger man tested the passenger door, locked. He raised a crowbar. Jackson's phone vibrated against his ribs, not the emergency call connecting. Another text. He couldn't check it, couldn't move without triggering Tommy's meth-fueled reflexes. An engine roared from the access road. All four men turned. A rust-eaten Ford F-150 barreled toward them. No headlights, just dawn glare on the windshield. Tommy jumped back as the truck skidded sideways, blocking the Mercedes from the other two men. The driver's door opened. A woman, late 60s, gray hair and a tight bun, stepped out holding a shotgun with the practiced ease of someone who'd grown up hunting elk. Morning, Tommy. Her voice carried that particular Montana calm that preceded violence. Heard you were having a party. This ain't your business. Anna Fitzgerald. Jackson recognized the name from the article, the woman who ran the local animal shelter, who'd first reported Cooper's condition. Everything involving animals in this county is my business. She pumped the shotgun, chambering around. Why don't your friends put down their toys? The man with the gas can backed toward the tree line. The younger one looked to Tommy. Crowbar still raised. 3 against 2, Tommy said. And you won't shoot. Too many witnesses. 2? Anna smiled. Tom, you never were good at math. A Montana Highway Patrol cruiser crested the hill, lights dark but engine loud in the morning stillness. It parked perpendicular to Anna's truck, creating a barrier. The officer who stepped out was young, Native American, hand resting on his service weapon. Mrs. Fitzgerald, he nodded. Got your call about a possible break-in. No break-in, Anna said, not lowering the shotgun. Mr. Whitaker here was invited to look at a dog. Tommy's just confused, aren't you? Tommy? Tommy's jaw worked side to side, the meth calculating odds. Jackson could see him weighing options. The cop was alone, probably fresh from the academy. But Anna's shotgun didn't waver, and she stood at an angle where she could hit all 3 men before they reached cover. Cooper's mine, Tommy finally said. Papers and everything? Nobody's disputing that, the officer said. His name tag read Crow Feather. He looked at Jackson. Sir, you okay? Jackson nodded. Glass still in his lap. Just a misunderstanding. Tommy stepped back from the Mercedes, bat dropping to his side. Get off my land, all of you. Happy to, Anna said. Soon as Mr. Whitaker's car starts. Battery's dead, Jackson said. No problem. Anna pulled jumper cables from her truck bed without lowering the shotgun, an impressive display of one-handed coordination. Officer Crowfeather, would you mind helping Mr. Whitaker while I keep an eye on things? The young cop moved to the Mercedes, professional, but quick. As he attached the cables, he leaned close to Jackson. Mrs. Fitzgerald says you have evidence that true. Jackson's hand found the lockbox under the seat. Yes? Then we need to leave. Now, Tommy's got more friends, and they'll come when they realize I'm alone. He glanced at Tommy. Start your car on 3. The Mercedes engine caught on the second try. Jackson reversed hard, gravel spraying, Anna backed toward her truck. Shotgun still trained on Tommy's group. Officer Crowfeather was already in his cruiser, engine running. "Follow me," Anna called to Jackson. "Close." They formed a convoy patrol car. Jackson, Anna racing down the access road. In the rearview mirror, Jackson saw Tommy pull out his phone, screaming into it. The man with the gas can was already running toward a dirt bike hidden in the trees. Jackson's phone buzzed. The unknown number. "Cooper has 6 hours. Maybe less. Tommy just gave the order. They're going to burn everything, the cage, the evidence, the dog. Get to the shelter now." Jackson pressed the accelerator, Mercedes fishtailing on ice. 6 hours. He thought of Cooper's eyes, that terrible emptiness. The dog wouldn't fight, wouldn't run, would just lie there as the flames came. Another text. "P.S. Tommy's not the real problem. Check who holds the insurance policy on Cooper. Check who benefits if a hero dog dies tragically. You're looking at the wrong villain." A photo appeared. Legal documents. Jackson glimpsed them as he drove $1 million life insurance policy on Cooper, taken out in 20, but the beneficiary wasn't Tommy Harrison. It was Officer Jim Morrison's widow, Helen Morrison. The same Helen Morrison who ran the Montana Search and Rescue Foundation, who'd been fundraising for years using Cooper's hero story, who'd never once tried to find her husband's dog after his death. Another photo loaded. A bank statement showing regular payments from Helen Morrison to Tommy Harrison. $500 monthly. Dated notation on each, maintenance fee. She'd been paying Tommy to keep Cooper alive, but hidden. Alive, but suffering. Because a tragic rescue story was worth more than a dead dog. But a living hero might expose the truth. Jackson's hands tightened on the wheel. Behind them, dust rose from the access road. 3 vehicles, maybe 4, closing fast. "They're coming," he said into the phone, hoping Officer Crowfeather's radio was on. Static crackled through his broken window. Then Anna's voice, calm as morning coffee. "I see them. When we hit the highway, you go left to the shelter, but we'll go right and lead them toward town. They'll follow me. They want the evidence." "No," Anna said. "They want Cooper dead, and they just figured out where we moved him." Jackson's stomach dropped. "You moved him when?" 20 minutes ago, while you were playing detective under that trailer. But I saw him in the cage." "You saw a dog in the cage. My volunteer, Melissa's been switching Cooper with another German shepherd every few hours for weeks, giving him breaks. Tommy's usually too high to notice." Melissa M., the person texting me, is currently sitting with Cooper at my shelter, trying to keep him breathing. Anna's voice hardened. "But Tommy knows now. He recognized the switch when he went to check. And Mr. Whitaker, that shelter is old wood, 1 match, and it's gone." The highway appeared ahead. Officer Crowfeather's cruiser turned right, siren suddenly blazing. Anna followed. Jackson yanked the wheel left, tires screaming. In the mirror, the pursuing vehicle split. 2 followed the cop and Anna. 2 continued straight toward Jackson, toward the shelter, toward Cooper. The speedometer hit 90. The shelter was 3 miles ahead. Jackson could already see smoke rising in the morning air, but he couldn't tell if it was chimney smoke or something worse. The shelter's gravel parking lot came up fast. Jackson slammed the brakes, Mercedes sliding sideways, stopping inches from a wooden fence. The smoke was coming from a barrel fire behind the main building, someone burning trash, not the structure. Yet, 2 motorcycles roared in behind him. The riders dismounted. One was the kid with the neck tattoos. The other, a woman, blonde, face weathered by meth and Montana winters. Both carried bottles with rags stuffed in the necks. Jackson ran for the shelter door, locked. He pounded on the reinforced glass. "Melissa, open up." Movement inside a shadow passing a window. The door cracked open, A young woman peered out, maybe 25, bruises yellowing on her cheekbone. "You're Jackson." Her voice shook. Anna called, said to glass shattered behind them. The first Molotov cocktail hit the shelter's east wall, flames spreading across dry wood. The woman with the meth-weathered face was already lighting the second bottle. "Where's Cooper?" Jackson pushed inside, pulling Melissa with him. Kennel 7, but Mr. Whitaker. He was already moving through the narrow hallway. Dogs erupted barking, howling, throwing themselves against chain-link gates. The smoke detector screamed overhead. Jackson counted kennels. 4, 5, 6, 7 was open. Cooper lay on a veterinary pad, IV in his front leg, breathing shallow. Elizabeth Chen knelt beside him, fingers on his pulse. She looked up, eyes red with exhaustion. His temperature's dropping, Sutta, organs shutting down. She stood, all 5 feet of her radiating fury. 9 years I've been documenting this. 9 years of reports to animal control, sheriff's department, state authorities. Nothing. Another window exploded. Flames licked at the ceiling's edge. The sprinkler system kicked on weak streams that wouldn't stop serious fire. "We need to move him," Jackson said. "He won't survive being moved." Dr. Chen checked Cooper's gums white. "Bloodless? Heart rate 38, should be 70. Melissa appeared in the doorway. "They're coming inside. The back doors, wood splintered somewhere. Heavy footsteps." The kid with neck tattoos rounded the corner. Crowbar in hand, he looked at Cooper, at Jackson, calculating. "Tommy says the dog comes with us?" "No." The kid smiled. "Wasn't a request. Old man." He swung the crowbar. Jackson caught it mid-swing, the impact jarring through his shoulders. They wrestled for control, crashing into kennel doors. Dogs went insane, teeth snapping through chain link. The crowbar clattered away. The kid's fist connected with Jackson's ribs. Air left his lungs. Another punch, this one to his kidney. Jackson dropped to one knee. "Stop!" Melissa's voice cut through the chaos. She held a syringe, needle-catching fluorescent light. "Ketamine, enough to drop a horse?" The kid laughed. "You won't." She stabbed the needle into her own thigh. Thumb on the plunger. "Tommy's been using me as a punching bag for 3 years. You think I care what happens to me? But you touch that dog or this man, I push this plunger and die right here. Murder charges for everyone." The kid's face went pale. Murder was different than animal abuse. Murder meant real time. "Tommy just wants the dog dead," he said. "The old lady, Helen Morrison, she's paying 50 grand if Cooper dies today. Before the reporter gets here." "What reporter?" Jackson stood, ribs screaming. "Some guy from the Washington Post, flying in this afternoon. Helen called Tommy at 4 this morning, panicking. Said if the story goes national, she's finished." Dr. Chen looked up from Cooper. "Helen Morrison's been fundraising off Cooper's story for years. Helped support the hero dog's medical care. 3 million raised. But Cooper never saw a penny." "She told everyone he died," Melissa added, needle still against her thigh. "Tragic death. Very sad. Send donations in his memory." "Except Tommy posted those photos online last month when he was high. Someone recognized Cooper." The flames reached the hallway ceiling. Paint bubbled and peeled. Black spray rolled toward them. "We're all going to burn if we don't move," the kid said. "Just let me put the dog down. Quick, merciful, better than burning." "No." Jackson moved between the kid and Cooper. "Then we all die. Your choice." So Jackson looked back at Cooper. The dog's eyes had opened, barely slits, but open, watching. That 1,000-yard stare, but something else now. A flicker of interest. For the first time in 9 years, Cooper was seeing humans fight over him, Not for money, not for fame, but for him. The dog's tail moved just once. The smallest movement, maybe involuntary. But Jackson saw it. "Dr. Chen," he said quietly, "what would it take to save him?" "A miracle. Warm fluids, antibiotics, potassium, calcium, thiamine, immediate warming protocol, oxygen." Yeah. She shook her head. "Even then, probably 5% chance. But 5% isn't zero. Mr. Whitaker, he's suffering. Sometimes the kindest thing is to try." Jackson pulled out his phone, started typing. How much would all that treatment cost? Maybe 10,000? But money isn't done. He hit send on the wire transfer to the shelter's account. "There's 50,000. Treat him." The kid stepped forward. "This is stupid. Tommy's going to..." Police sirens, multiple vehicles, getting closer. The kid's head snapped toward the sound. "Go," Melissa said, lowering the syringe. "Run? Tell Tommy the dog died in the fire. Tell him whatever you want, but go." The kid ran. His motorcycle roared to life outside, tires spinning on gravel. Dr. Chen was already moving, pulling supplies from cabinets. "Melissa?" warned Serene. "Mr. Whitaker, carry him gently. We're moving to my van. It's equipped." Jackson slid his arms under Cooper. The dog weighed nothing, maybe 40 pounds of bone and memories. Cooper's head lolled against Jackson's chest. That smell again, resignation mixed with something else now. Smoke. Fear. But underneath, the faintest hint of something Jackson recognized from his own father's last days. Hope. Desperate, probably futile, but hope. They burst through the shelter's back door into cold air. Dr. Chen's mobile veterinary van sat 20 feet away. Jackson climbed in, still holding Cooper's. The space was cramped but professional IV pumps, warming blankets, oxygen tanks. "Set him here." Dr. Chen pointed to a padded table. Her hands moved with practiced efficiency. V-line in fluids warming, oxygen mask over Cooper's muzzle. "Melissa, call Anna. Tell her we need..." Jackson's phone rang. Unknown number, but not the same unknown number. He answered. Mr. Whitaker. A woman's voice, older, refined. "This is Helen Morrison. I understand you have my dog." Jackson's hand tightened on the phone. "Your dog? Your husband's dog? You mean the one you left to die?" "Then you don't understand the situation?" Cooper was complicated. "The insurance, the foundation, there were obligations. You took $3 million in donations for a dog you locked in a cage. I kept him alive." Her voice hardened. "Tommy would have killed him years ago. I paid for food, basic care. You paid for torture. I paid for time to figure out how to handle this without destroying Jim's legacy. The foundation helps hundreds of animals by sacrificing one." Another pause. "I'm willing to make a deal. 50,000 for Cooper, cash. You can tell whatever story you want after he's gone." Jackson looked at Cooper. Dr. Chen had gotten his temperature up to 97 degrees. Still too low, but better. The dog's eyes were fully open now, watching Jackson. "Mrs. Morrison," Jackson said slowly, "I have Jim's flip phone, the video he made 3 days before he died, the one where he accuses Tommy of poisoning him." Silence. "I also have bank records showing your payments to Tommy, and photos documenting Cooper's abuse over 9 years," the Washington Post reporter. "He's not coming this afternoon? He's already here? Actually, he's recording this call." Dr. Chen looked up, confused. There was no reporter, but Helen Morrison didn't know that. "What do you want?" Helen's voice had gone flat. Justice. For Cooper. For Jim. For everyone you betrayed. You have no proof Jim was murdered. The video's just the rambling of a dying man. Maybe, but Tommy's high enough right now that he might just confess, especially if he thinks it'll get him a better deal. Jackson could hear her breathing, calculating. "I'll give you everything," she finally said. "All the foundation money. $3 million. Just let Cooper die quietly. He's suffering. It would be merciful." Jackson looked at the dog. Cooper's tail moved again, definite this time, not a wag, but movement. Choice, fight. "He's not yours to bargain with anymore," Jackson said. "I have legal ownership, had, past tense. You reported him dead 5 years ago to claim the insurance." Silence. "Oh, you didn't know I had that document too." Jackson lied smoothly. "Melissa's been busy." The line went dead. Dr. Chen checked Cooper's vitals. Heart rate's up to 45. "He's fighting." She looked at Jackson. "But Mr. Whitaker, Helen's right about one thing. We maybe bought him days, not years. His kidneys are failing. His heart's enlarged. The damage. Then we make the days count." Melissa's phone buzzed. She read the text, face draining of color. "Tommy's coming. With friends. Lots of friends. Says he'll burn down the whole town to get Cooper." Jackson looked out the van's back window. Smoke rose from the shelter, the fire spreading despite the sprinklers. In the distance, dust clouds. Vehicles? Many vehicles. But Officer Crowfeather's cruiser was nowhere to be seen. Neither was Anna's truck. They were alone. Cooper whimpered the first sound he'd made, his eyes fixed on Jackson, and in them, for just a moment, Jackson saw not emptiness but a question. "Are you staying?" Jackson took Cooper's paw, felt the bones through the thin skin, the cracked pads, the overgrown nails. "Yes," he said. That's when he noticed Cooper's other paw, the one Dr. Chen had shaved for the IV. Old scars covered the skin precise, deliberate cuts that formed letters A-I-L-P, not written in ink. Carved. Cooper had been trying to write help in his own flesh. How long had he been trying to tell someone? The first vehicle crested the hill. Tommy's rust-eaten Chevrolet, followed by 3 pickups. Dr. Chen shifted the van into gear. "Where's the nearest police station?" Jackson asked. 30 miles. Melissa's fingers flew across her phone screen. "But I've got something better." She hit speaker. A man's voice answered gruff, annoyed. "What?" "Dale, it's Melissa. Remember that favor you owe me?" "You mean when I beat the shit out of Tommy and you didn't press charges? That one. Cash it in now. Shelter parking lot. Tommy's coming with friends." "How many friends?" 8, maybe 10. Dale laughed. "I'll bring 12. The line went dead. Melissa looked at Jackson. "My brother, Tommy put me in the hospital last year. Dale's been waiting for an excuse." Dr. Chen drove behind the shelter, killed the engine. Through the van's medical equipment, Jackson could see Cooper's heart monitor, 50 beats per minute now. Still too low. But climbing, engines roared into the parking lot. Car doors slammed. Tommy's voice carried through the morning air. "Check the van! Check everything!" Cooper's eye rolled toward the sound. His whole body tensed, heart rate spiking to 70, then 80. Too fast now. "He's panicking." Dr. Chen prepared a syringe. "I need to sedate him." "Wait." Jackson put his hand on Cooper's head, feeling the rapid pulse beneath paper-thin skin. "Cooper, look at me." Not at them. At me. The dog's eye shifted, found Jackson's face. "He can't hurt you any more." Jackson kept his voice low and steady, even as footsteps approached the van. "I won't let him." The back door handle rattled, locked. A fist pounded on metal. "Open up." Tommy's voice. high and cracked. I know you're in there. More vehicles arrived, motorcycles, heavy trucks, doors slamming, voices arguing, Dale's crew surrounding Tommy's group. Back off, Tommy. A new voice, deeper. The dog's done with you? That's my property. The sound of flesh hitting flesh. Someone hit the ground hard, scuffling, grunting, Tommy screaming about lawsuits. Cooper's heart rate dropped to 65. His eyes stayed on Jackson. Good boy, Jackson whispered. Good. The windshield exploded. Not a punch or gunshot. Chin ducked, pulling Melissa down. Jackson threw his body over Cooper, glass raining on his back. Next one goes in someone's head. Tommy's voice, completely unhinged now. Give me my dog. Another shot. The van's tire hissed flat. Then sirens. Real ones this time. Multiple vehicles. Getting closer, but not close enough. Tommy had time to fire 3, maybe 4 more rounds before the van's back door ripped open. Not Tommy. Helen Morrison stood there, elegant even in jeans and ranch coat, holding a Glock seen steady in manicured hands. Enough. She looked at Tommy, who stood wide-eyed by the shelter, his own gun wavering. Put it down, Tommy. You're high, stupid, and about to make this worse. You said... Tommy's gun swung toward her. You said 50,000. Helen shot him in the shoulder. Clean, professional. Tommy spun, fell, gun clattering across gravel. His crew scattered. Dale's guys backed away. Everyone understanding the sudden shift in power. Helen climbed into the van, gun still ready. She looked at Cooper, at the monitors, the IVs. He's really dying, she said quietly. He's fighting, Jackson corrected. Helen's composure cracked. Just for a moment, Jackson saw something raw underneath grief. Maybe, or guilt, so old it had fossilized. Jim loved that dog more than me. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. Spent every free moment training him, working with him. When Cooper made his first rescue, that little girl in the river, Jim cried, 6'3" Marine, crying over a dog. She touched Cooper's fur with her free hand. The dog flinched. After Jim died, I couldn't look at Cooper without seeing Jim, the way he'd smile when Cooper learned something new, the way they'd sleep. Cooper's head on Jim's chest, her hand trembled. So I paid Tommy to keep him awake, hidden, but alive, because killing him felt like killing the last piece of Jim. You paid Tommy to torture him. I paid Tommy for distance. I didn't know. Didn't want to know. State police vehicles screamed into the lot. Officers in tactical gear surrounded the van. Someone with a megaphone ordering everyone down. Weapons dropped. Helen set her Glock on the medical table, stepped back. I've already called my lawyer. She told Jackson, I'll confess to insurance fraud, embezzlement, false reporting, all of it. The foundation has $2 million left. It's yours. For Cooper? For whatever time he has left. She climbed out of the van, hands raised, walking toward the officers. Jackson heard her voice, clear and carrying. My name is Helen Morrison. I shot Tommy Harrison in self-defense. I'm also confessing to fraud, conspiracy, and animal abuse charges. I have documentation in my vehicle. Dr. Chen checked Cooper's vitals while chaos erupted outside officers, paramedics, Tommy screaming about his shoulder. We need to get him to my clinic, now, while his numbers are stable. But Jackson was looking at Cooper's eye, still watching him, but something different now. The dog was trying to lift his head, failing, too weak, but trying. What is it, boy, son? Cooper's eye moved, tracking to something beside the medical table. Jim's flip phone knocked there during the chaos. Cooper's tail moved, not random, but deliberate, pointing. Jackson picked up the phone. You remember this? Cooper's tail moved again. Yes. Jackson powered it on. Besides the video, there were photos. He scrolled through them, Jim and Cooper training, working, playing. Then later photos. Jim in the hospital bed, thinner, dying. But in every photo, he was smiling at the camera because Cooper was taking them. Jim had taught his dog to press the camera button. The last photo, dated the day Jim died, Jim's hand on Cooper's head. Both of them looking at something off camera. Jackson zoomed in. In the corner, barely visible, someone else's hand holding a syringe. Tommy's hand, the tattoo on his wrist unmistakable. But there was something else, a reflection in Jim's eyes, clear enough to see Helen Morrison standing in the doorway, watching. She'd been there. She'd watched Tommy kill her husband. Jackson looked outside where Helen sat in the police cruiser, composed again. Lawyer probably already en route. She'd shot Tommy not to save Cooper, but to silence him. And she'd confessed to lesser crimes to avoid the greater one, murder. 3 weeks later, January 15th, 2025, Veterinary Clinic. Whitefish Cooper survived the first night. Then the second. His kidneys, against all medical probability, started functioning. Barely, minimally. But functioning. Jackson hadn't left. He'd bought the empty building next to Dr. Chen's clinic, had contractors working 18-hour shifts to convert it. Heated floors, medical equipment, rehabilitation pool. His muscle mass is returning, Dr. Chen said, watching Cooper attempt to stand in the hydrotherapy tank. But Mr. Whitaker, his heart is working. Jackson stood waist-deep in the warm water, supporting Cooper's chest. That's enough. Cooper managed 3 steps before his legs gave out. Jackson caught him, held him floating. The dog's eye found his, always found his now. Tomorrow we'll try 4 steps, Jackson said. His phone rang. Anna Fitzgerald. Jackson, you need to see the news. He climbed out of the pool, Cooper watching from the water, Melissa taking over support. The TV in the corner showed a breaking news banner. Helen Morrison found dead in cell. Apparent suicide. The reporter continued. Morrison was awaiting trial for fraud and embezzlement charges related to her late husband's charity. A note was found claiming responsibility for her husband's death, though authorities are calling the confession unreliable. Jackson looked back at Cooper. The dog was standing on his own. 7 seconds before his legs shook, but standing. February 20th, Trip Morrison Recovery Ranch, formerly Harrison property. The cage was gone. Jackson had torn it down himself, bolt by bolt. While Cooper watched from his wheelchair, a converted baby stroller Dr. Chen had modified where the cage had stood. Jackson built a garden, not flowers. Montana winter killed flowers, but evergreen shrubs, hardy enough to survive, a bench where Cooper could rest during his walks. 15 steps today, Melissa announced, videoing with her phone. She'd been documenting everything, building a case file that would bury Tommy when he got out of the hospital. Cooper walked the perimeter of his old cage, nose down, sniffing. His tail, fuller now with proper nutrition, stayed low but moved. When he reached the spot where his cage door had been, he stopped, lifted his leg, urinated on the exact spot where he'd been locked in. Good boy, Jackson laughed. Actually laughed. First time since Sarah died. Cooper's tail went higher, not a full wag, but lifted, proud, that night. Cooper climbed onto Jackson's bed by himself. No help, no ramp, just determination and 3 tries. He curled against Jackson's side, not touching at first, just close. Then, as Jackson started to drift off, Cooper's head settled on his chest, right where Jim used to let him sleep. March 28th, 2025, County Courthouse. Tommy Harrison, left arm still in a sling, stood as the judge read the charges. Murder in the first degree for Jim Morrison. Attempted murder of a federal witness. Cooper was officially registered as a witness now. A legal first. Animal cruelty, torture, fraud, How do you plead?" Tommy's public defender started to speak, but Tommy interrupted. "That dog knows he saw everything. He's the only witness." The judge, Patricia Williams, the same one from Jackson's research, leaned forward. "Are you confessing, Mr. Harrison?" "I'm saying the dog saw it. Helen held Jim down while I pushed the syringe. The dog was right there." His lawyer grabbed his arm, whispered urgently, "Too late. Mr. Harrison," Judge Williams said slowly, "are you stating to me and for the record that you murdered Jim Morrison?" Tommy's meth-damaged brain caught up. His face went gray. "I want a deal. I'll tell you everything about Helen. She planned it all." But Helen was beyond justice now, and Tommy had just confessed to murder. Jackson sat in the gallery, Cooper in a service vest beside him. The dog could walk freely now, though slowly. His kidneys functioned at 30%, his heart enlarged but stable. Duchenne gave him maybe a year, maybe 2, but he was here, watching Tommy convicted with the same steady gaze that had watched him through cage bars for 9 winters. As they led Tommy away, he turned, locked eyes with Cooper. "You're still dying," he screamed. "You'll be dead before I get out. You hear me, dead." Cooper's tail wagged. Full, genuine, the first real wag in 9 years, because Tommy was wrong. Cooper wasn't dying anymore. He was living. March 30th, 2020, Morrison Recovery Ranch. 6:00 a.m. Jackson woke to Cooper standing over him, holding something in his mouth. Not a toy. They'd tried toys. But Cooper didn't understand play anymore. A leash. Jackson sat up. "You want to walk?" Cooper dropped the leash on the bed, walked to the door, looked back. They stepped outside into pre-dawn darkness. Snow fell light and steady. Cooper led the way not to their usual path, but toward the woods, toward the trails Jim used to run with him. Search and rescue trails. Cooper's nose went down. His body changed, still thin, still damaged. But suddenly professional, working. He was tracking something. Jackson followed. No idea what Cooper was following. Deer, maybe. Or just memory. They climbed a small rise. Cooper moving faster now despite his limp. Through trees, over a frozen creek, up another hill. Then Cooper stopped, sat. His signal for found. Jackson looked around. Nothing but trees and snow. "What did you find, boy?" Cooper pawed at the ground. Jackson knelt, brushed away snow and pine needles, a small marker, wood, handmade, words carved deep, Rex, 2002, 2014, good dog. Jackson's breath caught. His childhood dog, the one he'd told Cooper about in those first days. But that was impossible. Rex died in California, was buried in... He looked closer. Below Rex's name, smaller letters, Jackson's friend, Sarah's comfort, forever missed, Sarah. His wife had done this, brought Rex here, to Montana, to the place they'd honeymooned, the place she'd said felt like home. Cooper lay down beside the marker, head on paws, watching Jackson process what this meant, that Sarah had been here recently enough that Cooper could still smell traces, that she'd planned something for after her death, something for Jackson to find when he was ready. Jackson's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number, but not Melissa's unknown number. This one had a San Francisco area code, a video message. Jackson hit play. Sarah's face filled the screen, thin from chemo but smiling. The background, these same woods, summer green instead of winter white. "Hi, baby. If you're watching this, it means Cooper found you, or you found Cooper. Either way, you're in Montana, which means you finally left that damned penthouse." Her voice, God, her voice. "I know you're angry. I didn't tell you about Rex, about bringing him here. But I knew after I was gone, you'd need something, a reason to leave California, to live again. So I asked my friend Anna, you've met her by now, to watch for you, to call you when the time was right. The camera panned to show Anna Fitzgerald, younger, healthier, standing beside Sarah. Anna's going to send you a newspaper article. Sarah continued, about a dog who needs help, a hero who's been forgotten. You're going to read it and see yourself. And because you're you, you'll come running. The camera moved again. Cooper appeared younger, healthier, but unmistakably Cooper, working with Jim Morrison on the same trail. This is Cooper, Sarah said. Jim's partner. Jim's dying cancer, like me. We've become friends, the four of us, the dying and their beloveds. Jim's worried what will happen to Cooper after his nephew Tommy is troubled. Sarah's face returned to frame. So I'm asking you, Jackson, save Cooper, not for me, not even for Cooper, for you, because you need something to save. You always have. And Cooper needs someone who understands that heroes can be broken too. She leaned closer to the camera. The morning you watch this, look under Rex's marker. There's something else there, something to explain why Anna called you when she did. The video ended. Jackson's hands shook as he dug deeper under Rex's marker. His fingers found plastic, a sealed bag, documents, medical records, not Cooper's. His? Dr. Elizabeth Chen's signature at the bottom, dated 3 weeks ago. Diagnosis pancreatic cancer, stage 2, the same thing that killed Sarah. Jackson looked at Cooper, who was watching him with those steady eyes. You knew, Jackson said. You could smell it, like you could smell Jim's cancer. Cooper's tail moved once. Yes, another paper in the bag. Anna's handwriting. Sarah made me promise, wait until you were sick, until you needed Cooper as much as he needed you. You have maybe a year, maybe 2 with treatment. Cooper has about the same. Seems right, doesn't it? 2 broken heroes, saving each other for whatever time remains. Jackson sat in the snow, Cooper moving closer, head on his lap. The sun was rising, painting the mountains gold and pink. Below them, the Morrison Recovery Ranch spread out, 20 dogs visible in the yards, all rescues, all recovering. His phone rang. Dr. Chen, Mr. Whitaker, your test results are back. We need to discuss treatment options. Tomorrow, Jackson said. Today, Cooper and I are walking. He stood, legs steady despite everything. Cooper rose too, that damaged heart still beating, those failing kidneys still working. They started down the trail together, toward the ranch, toward the other broken souls waiting for breakfast, for medicine, for another day of unlikely survival. Behind them, Rex's marker caught the morning light. Below Rex's name, barely visible unless you knew to look. Sarah had carved one more line, love doesn't end. It just changes shape. Cooper stopped suddenly, nose high, catching something on the wind. Then Jackson smelled it too. Smoke, not wood smoke. Meth. Someone cooking meth in the woods. Cooper's body went rigid, then began moving with a purpose, tracking the scent. Moving like a police dog again despite his injuries, leading Jackson directly toward a camp hidden in the trees, where Tommy Harrison's crew, the ones who'd escaped arrest, were clearly cooking their next batch. The courtroom smelled like old wood and fear sweat. Jackson's fingers found the USB drive in his pocket. Jim Morrison's murder confession. 9 years of evidence carried in a dog's stomach. Cooper sat beside him in the red service vest Dr. Chen had procured. 48 pounds now, ribs still visible, but covered with improving muscle. Tommy Harrison entered in orange jumpsuit and shackles, left arm still weak from Helen's bullet. His eyes went straight to Cooper. The dog's breathing changed to shallow, rapid. All rise. Judge Patricia Williams took the bench, gray hair pulled severe, reading glasses on a chain. Her gaze lingered on Cooper before addressing the court. We're here for case number 21847, State versus Thomas Harrison. Charges include animal cruelty, torture, fraud, and conspiracy. How does the defendant plead? Tommy's public defender, a thin man drowning in his suit, stood not guilty. Your Honor, we contend the animal in question is property, and Mr. Harrison had legal ownership. That dog is evidence. Tommy's voice cracked across the courtroom. He's got something inside him that belongs to me. The defender grabbed Tommy's arm. Judge Williams' gavel cracked once. Mr. Harrison, you'll remain silent or be removed. Tommy's jaw worked side to side, the meth tick Jackson recognized. Even in custody, the damage remained. The prosecutor, a woman named Janet Pike, called her first witness. Jessica, Tommy's ex-girlfriend, took the stand in a modest blue dress. Blonde hair pulled back. Her hands trembled as she raised them for the oath. Miss Collins, Pike began, you lived with the defendant for 3 years. Yes. During that time, did you witness his treatment of the dog known as Cooper? Jessica's eyes found Cooper every day. He had games, put food just out of reach, let the cage flood during storms. In winter, he'd spray Cooper with the hose and leave him wet. Cooper's body went rigid. Jackson's hand found his head, felt the tremor starting in the dog's spine. I have recordings. Jessica continued. She pulled out her phone. Tommy didn't know I was recording. The audio filled the courtroom. Tommy's voice high and laughing. Look at him shake. 9 years and still thinks someone's coming. Helen pays me $500 a month to keep him breathing and suffering. Cooper's tremor worsened. His eyes stayed locked on Tommy. More audio. Tommy describing Jim Morrison's death. Helen holding Jim down. The syringe of potassium chloride. Cooper trying to protect his handler, being kicked aside. That's fabricated. Tommy shot up from his chair. She edited that. He lunged across the defense table, not toward the prosecutor or judge, toward Jessica. His good hand caught her hair, yanked her backward off the witness stand. They hit the floor together, Tommy's elbow crushing her windpipe. Lying bitch! You were in on it. Tell them about the money. Bailiffs rushed forward. Cooper saw Tommy's violence and something snapped. Not aggression, complete systemic overload. The dog's legs went rigid, his head arched back. Foam appeared at his mouth. He's seizing. Jackson dropped beside Cooper. The dog's entire body convulsed, muscles locked in grand mal seizure. His service vest rode up, showing old scars across his ribs. Judge Williams stood. Clear the courtroom. Get medical. No, wait. And Tommy fought against the bailiffs. The dog knows. He saw everything. That's the only witness. Cooper's seizure intensified, his bladder released. Jackson tried to cushion his head as it slammed against the floor. The dog's eyes had rolled back, showing only white. We need the emergency vet. Dr. Chen's voice from the gallery. She'd come to observe, now pushed through the bar. His heart can't take this. Move! They carried Cooper out on a court officer's jacket as a makeshift stretcher. Tommy's voice followed them. He'll die. You hear me? That dog's evidence. And he'll die before he talks. The hallway blurred past. Emergency exit. Dr. Chen's van in the handicapped space. She'd prepared for this possibility. They loaded Cooper onto the gurney in back. His seizure had stopped, replaced by something worse, complete stillness. No pulse. Dr. Chen started compressions. Jackson, breathe for him. Now. Jackson tilted Cooper's head back, sealed his mouth over the dog's nose and mouth, forced air into still lungs. Cooper's chest rose, fell, rose, fell. Dr. Chen's hands pumped his heart. manually. Come on, come on. The monitors showed nothing. Flatline. Jackson breathed for Cooper again, tasted blood from the dog's mouth, foam and blood, and the peculiar smell of systemic failure. 40 seconds. Dr. Chen counted. 45. Jackson's phone buzzed. Pike, the prosecutor. You need to get back here. Tommy's confessing, but only if you're present. Says he'll tell everything about Helen. 47 seconds, Dr. Chen said. Jackson? We're losing him. Jackson looked at Cooper's still face, the same empty expression from the cage, but different now. Not resignation, just absence. 48, wait. Dr. Chen's fingers found something at Cooper's throat. I've got a pulse. Weak, but Jackson, he's back. Cooper's eye opened, focused on Jackson, confused, like he'd gone somewhere else and been pulled back. His tail moved barely a twitch, but movement. Mr. Whitaker, a court officer at the van door, the judge is ordering you back. Now, or contempt charges. Jackson looked at Cooper, breathing, but barely. At Dr. Chen, hands bloody from compressions. At the courtroom door 50 yards away where Tommy was potentially confessing to murder. Cooper's paw moved, the scarred one. With help carved into the skin, it reached for Jackson's hand. I'm not leaving him. Mr. Whitaker, the judge. Tell the judge to charge me with whatever she wants. Jackson took Cooper's paw. I'm staying. The officer left. Dr. Chen started the van, hospital or clinic, wherever you can save him. And Cooper's breathing went shallow again. The monitor showed his heart rate dropping 40 beats and 35, 30. Jackson held his paw, felt the bones through thin skin. Cooper, stay with me. You delivered the evidence. Job's done. You can rest, but not yet, not yet. 28 beats per minute, 25. Dr. Chen drove faster, took a corner hard enough that equipment crashed in the back. Cooper didn't react to the noise. His eyes stayed on Jackson, but the focus was fading. 20 beats. There. Dr. Chen pointed. Not the clinic, the human hospital. They have a surgical suite. I have privileges there. She'd planned for this, too. Jackson lifted Cooper, carried him through the emergency entrance. People stared a man in a suit, carrying a dying German shepherd, through the ER. Surgical 3 is open, a nurse called out. She didn't question it. Dr. Chen had called ahead. They transferred Cooper to the surgical table. Dr. Chen scrubbed in while nurses prepared equipment meant for humans, adapted for a dog. Jackson stayed by Cooper's head, maintained eye contact. We need to intubate, Dr. Chen said. His lungs are filling with fluid. The tube went down Cooper's throat. A machine took over breathing for him. His eyes stayed open, watching Jackson, but the awareness behind it flickered like a candle in wind. That's when Jackson saw it on the X-ray display, still showing the image from earlier. The metal object in Cooper's stomach was gone, extracted but there was something else. Another shadow, this one near Cooper's heart, metal, smaller than the USB drive, a bullet fragment. Dr. Chen. Jackson pointed at the screen. What is that? She looked, went pale. That's not from recently. That's old. Years old. The fragment sat millimeters from Cooper's heart. Had been there all along. Every heartbeat for 9 years had moved it slightly, wearing away the surrounding tissue. Tommy didn't just abuse him, Dr. Chen said quietly. Someone shot Cooper long ago, and the bullet fragment has been migrating toward his heart ever since. Jackson looked at Cooper. The dog's eye had closed. The ventilator breathed for him. The monitor showed his heart rate at 18 beats per minute. 17. The fragment had finally reached its destination. Jackson grabbed Cooper's collar, pulled him back from the meth camp. 3 men worked around portable burners and glass containers, the chemical stench burning through the morning air. The one closest to them, neck tattoos. The kid from the shelter turned at the sound of Cooper's growl, "Son of a bitch!" The kid reached for something metal. Jackson backed away, pulling Cooper, but the dog planted his feet. That police training overriding everything drugs meant evidence. Evidence meant don't leave. "Cooper, come!" The dog strained forward. His breathing went ragged, wheeze building in his chest, the damaged heart working too hard. The kid stepped out from behind the cooking setup, holding a tire iron. "You're on private property." "Old man." "This is federal land." "Not anymore. Tommy sold it to us 3 days before his arrest." The kid smiled, meth teeth brown at the roots. "All legal. We got papers." 2 other men emerged from a camouflaged trailer. One carried a shotgun loose at his side. The other held a phone, already recording. Cooper's wheeze worsened. Jackson felt the dog's chest heaving under his hand, ribs visible with each labored breath. They needed to leave, now. "We're going—" Jackson turned, keeping his body between Cooper and the men. That's when he saw Tommy, standing behind them, 15 feet away, baseball bat in his good hand despite the sling on his other arm. He'd jumped bail. Of course he had. "Hello? Cooper." Tommy's pupils were pinpricks. "Miss me." The dog's growl dropped to subsonic, felt more than heard. Jackson tightened his grip on the collar, but Cooper was pulling forward now, toward Tommy, legs shaking but moving. "He remembers you killing Jim," Jackson said. Tommy laughed. "He remembers who owns him." "Don't you, boy!" Cooper lunged. The collar slipped through Jackson's cold fingers. The dog covered half the distance before his legs gave out, crashing chest first into frozen ground. He tried to stand, fell again, dragging himself forward with front paws. Tommy raised the bat. "Still got fight." "Let me fix that." Jackson moved, but the kid with the tire iron stepped between them. The iron caught Jackson across the ribs, dropping him to his knees. Tommy's bat came down on Cooper's side. The crack echoed through the trees, not the bat breaking. Ribs. Cooper made no sound, just a wet exhale, blood settling the snow. He kept trying to move toward Tommy, front legs pulling, back legs not responding. "Tommy, enough!" One of the men from the trailer, older. "Steadier. You're out on bail. You kill that dog, you're done." "He's already dead. Look at him." Kent Cooper's breathing went shallow, rapid, pink foam at his mouth, lung puncture. His eye found Jackson, held it. The dog stopped trying to move forward. Instead, he started crawling backward, toward Jackson. Tommy raised the bat again. A gunshot split the air, not at them, above them. Everyone froze. "State police! Nobody move!" 3 officers materialized from the tree line, weapons drawn. The meth camp erupted, men running, someone throwing chemicals that ignited on contact with a burner. Blue flame shot 8 feet high. Tommy dropped the bat, ran toward the trailer. An officer tackled him, Tommy's damaged shoulder hitting ground first. His scream cut through everything. Jackson crawled to Cooper. The dog lay on his side, each breath a liquid struggle. Blood pooled under him. Too much blood. "Medical helicopter!" Jackson screamed at the officers. "Now!" One officer was already on his radio. Another brought a first aid kit, useless for this. Jackson pressed his hands against Cooper's ribs, feeling the broken pieces shift. The dog's eyes stayed on his face. "Stay with me, Cooper, stay with me." Cooper's tail moved once. The helicopter ride took 12 minutes, felt like 12 hours. The paramedic, a young woman who'd clearly never worked on a dog, did her best. Oxygen mask adapted for Cooper's muzzle. IV that took 4 tries to place in his collapsed veins. Jackson to holding Cooper's head, watching the heart monitor show irregular spikes. "He's going into shock," the paramedic said. I'm not trained for. Just keep the oxygen going." "Dr. Chen, met them at the landing pad, already scrubbed for surgery. They transferred Cooper to a gurney, ran for the operating room. Jackson tried to follow. "No!" Chin pushed him back. "Waiting room? Now." The doors swung shut. Jackson sat in the plastic chair, Cooper's blood drying on his hands. The same waiting room where he'd sat 3 years ago. Different hospital, different state. But identical chair, same beige walls, same ancient magazines, same clock that moved too slow and too fast simultaneously. His phone rang. His mother. He almost didn't answer. Then did. "Jackson, I saw the news. Something about a dog and arrest and—" "Mom." His voice came out destroyed. "I'm losing him." Silence. Then, "Where are you?" "Montana, Whitefish Medical Center." "Is this about Sarah?" "No. Yes. I don't know." He looked at his bloody hands. "There's this dog, Cooper. He was tortured for 9 years, and I tried to save him, but I was too late, and— Jackson, breathe." He did, ragged, but breathing. "Tell me about Cooper." So he did. Everything. Jim Morrison's murder, Helen's fraud, Tommy's torture, the cage, the rescue, the slow recovery, Rex's grave, Sarah's video, his own diagnosis. His mother stayed quiet through it all. When he finished, she said, "I'm booking a flight. You don't need to." "Yes, I do. You're my son. You're sick. You're alone. I'm coming." The operating room doors opened. Dr. Chen emerged, surgical mask around her neck, scrubs blood-stained. "He's alive," she said, before Jackson could ask. "But Jackson, it's bad." She led him to recovery. Cooper lay on his side, chest barely moving despite the ventilator. Monitors showed everything wrong. Heart rate erratic, blood pressure dropping, oxygen saturation too low despite mechanical breathing. 3 ribs broken, lung punctured in 2 places, but worse, Dr. Chen pointed to an x-ray. The impact damaged his spine, T11 and 2 vertebrae. Even if he survives, he won't walk again. As Jackson moved to Cooper's side, the dog's eye was open, tracking to him, conscious, aware. Can he feel pain? Not below the injury, but above. Yes. Jackson touched Cooper's head. The dog tried to lift his chin. Couldn't. How long? Without the ventilator minutes. With it, days of suffering. His kidneys are failing faster now from the shock. His heart. She shook her head. "I can keep him technically alive. But Jackson, is that what's best?" Jackson looked at Cooper. The dog's eye held his, and in it, Jackson saw the same thing he'd seen in Sarah's eyes those last days. Not fear, not even pain. Exactly. Exhaustion. The deep, bone-level tired that came from fighting too long against too much. "Can I have a minute?" Dr. Chen left. Jackson pulled a chair close, eye level with Cooper. "Hey, buddy." Cooper's eye tracked to him. "You fought so hard, harder than anyone could ask. You found Jim's killer. You survived Tommy. You even found Rex's grave, found Sarah's message." A tear rolled down Cooper's face. Dogs could cry. Jackson had learned that. "You saved me, Cooper, these 3 months. You saved me from becoming nothing, from disappearing into that penthouse and dying alone." Cooper's eyes started to close. "But you're tired. I see it. Sarah was tired like this at the end." The eye opened again, focused. "If you need to go, you can go. I'll be okay, I promise. I'll take care of the other dogs. I'll make sure your story gets told. Jim's story, the truth." Cooper's eye closed. The ventilator wheezed. Heart monitor showed 30 beats per minute. 28, 25. Jackson reached for the call button to get Dr. Chen. Time to let Cooper go peacefully. Cooper's eye snapped open. His front paw, the one with help scarred into it, moved. Not much, barely visible, but moved. Toward Jackson, not goodbye. Reaching. Jackson gave him his hand. Cooper's paw touched it, pad to palm. The heart monitor jumped. 30 beats. 35. Cooper wasn't ready to quit, but his body was quitting anyway, the numbers dropping again despite his fight. That's when Jackson noticed something on the X-ray, still glowing on the wall display. A shadow near Cooper's stomach that wasn't organ or bone. Metal. Something metal inside Cooper that shouldn't be there. "To-chin!" Jackson's finger traced the metal shadow on the X-ray. "What is that?" She moved closer, squinted at the image. "I assumed it was a microchip, but it's too large. And the wrong location." She pulled up Cooper's intake records. No chip registered when we scanned him. Could Tommy have put something inside him? Surgically? No, Tommy couldn't even. Her face went pale. Unless he made Cooper swallow it. Jackson looked at Cooper, still on the ventilator, eye half open, but watching. "We need to get it out. Jackson, he won't survive another surgery. His blood pressure it's evidence." Tommy made him swallow evidence of something. To-chin checked the monitors. Blood pressure 60/40, heart rate 22. "Even if I could extract it, the anesthesia alone would." Cooper's paw pressed against Jackson's hand again, harder this time. His eye fully open now, looking between Jackson and the X-ray. "He knows," Jackson said. "He knows what it is." To-chin prepared a local anesthetic. No general anesthesia, just local. If his pressure drops below 50, I'm stopping. She made the incision. Cooper didn't flinch. Spine damage meant he felt nothing there. Jackson held his head, watched his eye. The dog stared at the ceiling, to McKitna, breathing regulated by the machine. "Got it." Dr. Chen pulled out a small metal cylinder covered in stomach acid scarring, a USB drive sealed in titanium casing. "Military grade? Waterproof? Fireproof?" Jackson took it, still thick with blood. "How long has this been inside it, Heap?" "Based on the scarring around it, years." Cooper's eye tracked to the drive. His tail, what little movement remained, twitched. "This is what you've been protecting?" Jackson wiped the drive clean. "Jim gave this to you." The drive was engraved. Small letters. "Jacob Insurance." Dr. Chen sutured the incision while Jackson connected the drive to her computer, password protected. He tried obvious combinations. Cooper, Morrison, dates, nothing. Cooper made a sound, not a whine, more like a cough around the ventilator tube. His paw moved, scratching at the table. 4 scratches, pause. 6 scratches, pause. 1 scratch, pause. 5. 4, 6, 1, 5, Jackson said aloud. Cooper's tail moved. "Yes." Jackson entered the drive opened. Video files, dozens, all dated from 20 for the year Jim died. Jackson opened the first one. Jim Morrison's face filled the screen, but healthier than in the final video. Behind him, his home office. "If you're watching this, something's happened to me." Jim's voice, strong and clear. "This is my insurance policy." Evidence of what's really happening in Whitefish. The video cut to surveillance footage. Helen Morrison meeting with 3 men in what looked like a warehouse. Money changing hands, packages being loaded. "My wife is using the Search and Rescue Foundation to launder money." Jim's voice continued over the footage. "Meth money. Tommy Harrison is her distributor. The donations come in clean, go out dirty." Another video. Helen and Tommy in Jim's kitchen, Jim's coffee mug on the counter. Helen pouring something from a small bottle into it while Tommy watched. "They've been poisoning me for months," Jim's voice said. Small doses. Arsenic, making it look like cancer. Jackson's hands shook. Cooper's eye watched him, steady. More videos. Helen at the bank, withdrawing cash. Tommy selling meth to kids outside the high school. Helen meeting with men Jackson recognized the same ones from the meth camp this morning. The final video was different. Cooper was in it, lying beside Jim's hospital bed, Jim's hand on his head. "Cooper," Jim said to the camera, "if someone's watching this, it means you did your job. You protected the evidence." The camera turned to show Helen entering the room with Tommy. They didn't see the recording phone. "Is it done?" Helen asked. "Almost," Tommy said, pulling out a syringe. "The arsenic's got him weak enough. This'll finish it. Potassium chloride, heart stops, natural causes. And Cooper, I'll take him. Keep him alive but hidden. Can't have a dead hero dog raising questions. Alive but suffering," Helen corrected. "I want him to suffer like Jim made me suffer all those years, loving that dog more than me." Tommy injected the potassium chloride into Jim's IV port. Jim's eyes went wide, found Cooper. "Protect," Jim whispered, his last word, to his dog, Cooper, in the video, grabbed the phone in his mouth. The video went dark, but audio continued, Helen and Tommy discussing the cover-up, the insurance money, the plan to use Cooper's hero status for fundraising. Jackson looked at Cooper on the operating table. The dog had swallowed this drive right after Jim died, carried it for 9 years, evidence that would destroy Helen and Tommy, but no way to deliver it. "Jesus," Dr. Chen breathed. "He's been trying to tell someone for 9 years. That's why the scars on his paw spelled help, why he'd survived everything Tommy did. He had a job to finish." Cooper's heart monitor spiked. 40 beats, 45. "His pressure's climbing," Dr. Chen said. Amazed. 60 over 40, 70 over 50. Cooper's eye locked on Jackson. His front paw pushed against Jackson's hand. "Get up." The message clear as speech. "He knows he did it, Chita," Jackson said. "He delivered the evidence." The operating room door burst open. Officer Crow Feather rushed in. "Mr. Whitaker, we have a problem." Tommy's escaped custody? Killed a deputy? He's gunshots outside. Close." The hospital's emergency alarm started screaming. "He's here." Crow Feather drew his weapon. "Looking for Cooper. And you." Through the door's window, Jackson saw Tommy at the end of the hallway, shotgun in his good hand, improvised sling for his bad arm. 2 security guards lay motionless on the floor. "Back exit," Dr. Chen whispered. "Through the supply room." "Can we move him?" Jackson indicated Cooper. "The ventilator's portable." But Tommy fired at the door. Tmusts. Safety glass, spider-webbed, but held. They disconnected Cooper from the wall monitors. Jackson carrying the portable ventilator. Dr. Chen guiding the gurney. Officer Crowfeathers covered their retreat. The supply room shelves of medical equipment, a door marked exit. The door was chained shut from outside. "Trapped," Crowfeather bugged into his radio. "Officer down. Whitefish Medical. Surgical wing. Suspect armed. Send everyone." Another gunshot. The operating room door exploded inward. "Where's my dog?" Tommy's voice, completely unhinged now. They huddled behind shelving units. Cooper's eye found Jackson, and in it, Jackson saw something shift. The dog was trying to bark, trying to warn or call out, but the ventilator tube prevented sound. "I know you're here," Tommy called. "That dog's got something of mine, something Jim stole." Jackson held the USB drive tight, evidence of multiple murders. Tommy couldn't let it survive. Couldn't let them survive. Cooper's paw scratched at the gurney, not random, deliberate. He was scratching toward the ventilator tube. "No," Dr. Chen whispered. "You can't breathe without it." But Cooper kept scratching, his eye on Jackson. "Do it!" Jackson understood. Cooper's silence couldn't warn them. couldn't be what he'd been trained to be. He reached for the tube. Jackson, no, he'll die in minutes. He's already dying. Jackson pulled the tube out. Cooper gasped, chest heaving, but then he barked. Loud, sharp, the bark of a police dog alerting. The sound echoed through the room. There, Tommy rounded the shelving, shotgun raised. Cooper barked again. Different pitch. Jackson recognized it from the police training videos on Jim's drive, the signal for weapon. Officer Crowfeather understood, too. He dove left as Tommy fired, pellets shredding the space where he'd been. Crowfeather's return fire caught Tommy in the leg, dropping him. The shotgun skittered across the floor toward them. Tommy crawled after it, leaving a blood trail. That's my evidence, my money. Helen promised. More officers flooded in. Tommy reached for the shotgun. 3 officers fired simultaneously. Tommy Harrison died 6 feet from Cooper, still reaching for the gun. Cooper's breathing went ragged without the ventilator. Dr. Chen grabbed an oxygen mask, held it over his muzzle, but his chest barely moved. "We need to reintubate," she said. "Now." But Cooper's eye was on Tommy's body, watching, waiting, making sure. Only when Tommy's hand stopped twitching did Cooper's eye move back to Jackson. The dog's tail moved once. Job done. Then his breathing stopped. No. Dr. Chen started compressions on his chest. Not now. Not after everything. Jackson grabbed the amber bag, forcing air into Cooper's lungs. Officer Crowfeather called for paramedics. Dr. Chen kept compressions going, counting out loud. 30 seconds. 60. 90. Cooper's eye remained open, staring at nothing. "He's gone," Dr. Chen said quietly. "Jackson? He's..." A sound from the hallway, boots running, multiple people. "Where is he? Where's Cooper?" A woman's voice. Not Helen, she was dead. Not Melissa, younger. A German shepherd burst through the doorway, dragging a uniformed officer behind. Young dog, maybe 2 years old, search and rescue vest, bright red. The dog saw Cooper, broke free from the handler, rushed to the gurney, started licking Cooper's face. Whining, pawing at his still chest. "Zeus, no!" The handler, a young woman in search and rescue uniform, tried to pull him back. "I'm sorry. He just started going crazy at the training center, wouldn't stop until we came here." Zeus ignored her, kept licking Cooper's face, then did something strange. He bit Cooper's ear, not hard, but sharp, the way a mother dog corrects a puppy call. Cooper's eye twitched. "Did you see?" Dr. Chen started compressions again. Zeus bit again, harder. Cooper's chest expanded. Not much, barely visible, but a breath. Cooper's chest rose again, shallow, rattling, but real. Dr. Chen's hands moved fast, oxygen mask over his muzzle. IV push of epinephrine, portable monitor leads stuck to shaved patches of skin. Heart rate 20. "Come on, Cooper." Zeus wouldn't stop licking Cooper's face, whining high in his throat. The young search and rescue handler tried to pull him back. "Let him stay," Jackson said. Zeus lay down pressed against Cooper's side, nose touching Cooper's ear. Every time Cooper's breathing slowed, Zeus nipped him. Small corrections. "Stay here. Don't go." 25 beats per minute. Dr. Chen watched the monitor. 30? Cooper's eye opened. Found Jackson first, then Zeus. His tail just the tip moved. "We need to get him back on the ventilator, Thor," Dr. Chen said. His lungs, Cooper's paw pushed against her hand. Weak but deliberate. "No, you can't breathe without..." The paw pressed harder. Cooper's eye moved to Zeus, then to the wussy eye. U.S. bad drive still in Jackson's hand. Then back to Jackson. The message clear. "Job done. Let me rest." "No ventilator," Jackson said quietly. "Just oxygen. Let him choose." Dr. Chen started to argue, then saw Cooper's face. The dog's eye held something Jackson had seen in Sarah's eyes near the end, not surrender, but acceptance. The difference between giving up and letting go. They moved Cooper to recovery, Zeus refusing to leave his side. The young German shepherd lay with his head across Cooper's neck, breathing in sync with the older dog. "That's Zeus," the handler said. "We've been training him for 6 months, but he's never responded to anyone the way he responded to Cooper's. I don't know. His scent, his presence. He just knew Cooper needed him." Jackson sat beside the gurney, hand on Cooper's side, feeling each labored breath. How did Zeus know? Dogs know things. The handler, her name tag read Katie Wu, watched Zeus. Especially working dogs. They sense what we can't. Katie Wu. Jackson remembered the newspaper stories. "You're the girl Cooper saved from the river," she nodded. "I was 6. Been working search and rescue since I turned 18 because of him." She touched Cooper's paw gently. "I've been looking for him for years. Everyone said he died." Cooper's eye tracked to hers, recognition flickering. "I named my dog Zeus because Cooper was like a god to me." Katie continued, "Guess Zeus understood that connection." April 10th, Timothy Cooper survived the night. Then another. Zeus never left his side, even refusing food until Cooper ate. Chen called it medically impossible. Cooper's organs were failing, spine damaged, lungs compromised, but every morning his eye opened. Every morning his tail moved once in greeting. Jackson had the entire recovery room converted. Hospital bed for himself beside Cooper's gurney, Zeus's bed between them. The USB drive evidence had gone to the FBI, resulting in 17 arrests. The meth operation, the money laundering, all of it unraveling. "Tommy's dead," Officer Crowfeather reported. "Helen's dead. The rest are going away for decades," Cooper heard. His breathing steadied. Job truly done. May 25, Cooper took his first step. Not a real step, his back legs still paralyzed, but Dr. Chen had fitted him with a wheeled cart supporting his rear end. Zeus walked beside him. Pace matched perfectly. Shoulder pressed against Cooper's to steady him. One foot, then another, Jackson coached, his own chemotherapy port hidden under his shirt. They were both poisoned, Cooper by years of abuse, Jackson by mutant cells, both fighting for whatever time remained. Cooper managed 10 feet before exhaustion dropped him. Zeus immediately lay down, providing a cushion for Cooper to rest against. "Tomorrow we'll do 12 feet, Jackson promised. Cooper's tail wagged. Actually wagged, not much, but the first real wag since Tommy's final attack. August 20th, the Morrison Recovery Ranch opened officially. Jackson's mother, Evelyn, cut the ribbon while Cooper watched from his custom wheelchair, more sophisticated now, with better support. "My son called me about a dying dog," Evelyn said to the gathered crowd. "I found 2 heroes saving each other." 200 dogs explored the grounds, not just cages or kennels, real spaces. Heated buildings, medical facilities, training grounds. Anna Fitzgerald ran operations with military precision and nurses' compassion. Melissa had returned from Seattle, clean 6 months, certified in animal behavior. She worked with the most traumatized dogs, the ones who'd forgotten how to trust. Cooper supervised from his chair, Zeus always at his side. The younger dog had abandoned search and rescue training, refusing to leave Cooper. Katie Wu understood, started volunteering at the ranch instead. "He's teaching Zeus," she told Jackson. "Watch." Sure enough, Cooper would sniff something, then look at Zeus. Zeus would investigate, then return. Cooper's tail would move approval or correction. The old dog training the young, despite everything. October 3rd, 2025. Jackson's cancer progressed. The chemotherapy bought time, but at a cost: weight loss, exhaustion. The same hollow look he'd criticized in Cooper months ago. He found Cooper by Sarah's memorial. He'd had Rex's remains moved to the ranch, created a garden where the cage had stood. Cooper came here every morning, Zeus pulling his wheelchair when Cooper tired. "We're both dying," Jackson said, sitting in the dirt beside Cooper's chair. Cooper's paw touched his hand. But not today. The paw pressed harder. Agreement. Dr. Chen found them there an hour later, both asleep in the sun, Cooper's head hanging from the wheelchair to rest on Jackson's shoulder. December 24th, 20 year, 6:47 a.m. Snow fell through the lights strung across the ranch. 212 dogs, the number had grown, gathered in the main yard. Some in wheelchairs like Cooper, some missing legs, some scarred beyond recognition, all saved. Cooper actually stood, his back legs supported by a specialized brace Chin had designed. He couldn't walk far, maybe 20 feet. But he stood, Zeus pressed against his side, ready to catch him if he fell. "Ladies and gentlemen," Anna Fitzgerald announced, "we're here to honor Officer Jim Morrison and his partner, K9 Cooper." The crowd, volunteers, adopters, other rescue organizations went silent. Katie Wu stepped forward with a medal. The Montana Search and Rescue Foundation, under new management, wishes to present Cooper with the Lifetime Service Award. She pinned it to Cooper's vest. The old dog's tail wagged full. Strong movements that seemed impossible for his damaged spine. Then Cooper did something he hadn't done in 13 years. He barked, not in warning or pain, but joy, clear mode, echoing across the ranch. Every dog responded, push about 200 voices rising in celebration. Jackson's phone buzzed. Another rescue needed a fighting ring bust in Spokane. 40 dogs needing placement. He showed Cooper the message. The dog was already turning his wheelchair toward the transport van, Zeus beside him. "You want to help?" Jackson asked. Cooper's tail wagged harder. They loaded into the van. Jackson, Cooper, Zeus, Melissa, Dr. Chen. The rest would prep the ranch for 40 new arrivals. As they drove, Cooper sat upright in his chair, watching the road ahead, not with a 1,000-yard stare of trauma, but with purpose. Zeus leaned against him, young strength supporting old wisdom. "You know what," Jackson said, hand on Cooper's head. "Broken doesn't mean worthless." Cooper's tongue lolled out the closest he could come to a smile. December 24th, 11:45 p.m. After the rescue, 43 dogs actually, all alive, all salvageable. Cooper lay on his bed, not the silk cushion Jackson had bought him, but Zeus's bed. The younger dog had dragged it over, insisted Cooper take it. Jackson lay on his own bed nearby, exhaustion from the day and chemotherapy weighing him down. "We did good today," he told Cooper. Cooper's tail moved once. "Yes, Sarah would be proud." Another tail movement. "Jim, too." Cooper's eye closed, breathing steady. No wheezing, no struggle, just sleep. Jackson watched him breathe. In, out, still here and still fighting. His phone showed the statistics Melissa kept in the 9 months since the ranch opened. They'd saved 437 dogs. Not the thousands he'd imagined, but each one mattered. Tomorrow, Christmas, they'd wake up and save more. Cooper would supervise from his wheelchair. Zeus would learn by watching, and broken things would continue proving their worth. But tonight, they rested outside. Snow fell on the memorial garden where the cage once stood. Inside, 2 dying heroes slept peacefully. Neither alone, both finally home. Cooper's last sound before deep sleep, a soft, contented sigh, the sound of a job well done, the sound of peace. Epilogue. December 24th. The bronze statue stood where the cage had been. Cooper, in his prime, alert, ready to save. The inscription read, K9 Officer Cooper, 2013 Twinkle. He never stopped serving. Zeus, now 5, sat beside the statue, graying already from the stress of those early years at Cooper's side. He came here every morning, would sit for exactly 10 minutes, the time Cooper used to take for their morning ritual, then return to work. The Morrison Recovery Ranch had expanded to 3 locations, saved 2,847 dogs, Jackson Whitaker, against all medical probability. Still lived, the doctors called it spite. He called it Cooper's influence. Tommy Harrison died in prison year 3, stabbed by another inmate over a gambling debt. The USB drive evidence had spawned investigations in 6 states, shutting down fighting rings, puppy mills, abuse operations. But the real legacy stood behind Zeus. 17 dogs Cooper had personally trained in his final years, all working search and rescue now, all carrying forward what Jim Morrison had started. Jackson touched the statue's base, where Cooper's collar hung sealed in glass. "Good boy," he whispered. Somewhere, somehow, a tail wagged. "I need to tell you something. When I first heard about Cooper, I thought it was just another rescue story. But sitting here now, 3 years after his passing, I understand what he really taught us. It wasn't about saving one dog. It was about recognizing that we're all walking around with invisible cages, bars made of grief, fear, shame. Cooper showed us that even the most broken among us still have something to give. Jackson saved Cooper, yes, but Cooper saved Jackson right back. And maybe that's the point. We don't heal in isolation. We heal when we find another broken soul and say, 'I see you. I'll stay.'" The Morrison Recovery Ranch still operates, but its real legacy isn't in the thousands of dogs saved. It's in proving that love doesn't require perfection. It just requires showing up, day after day, even when hope seems impossible. Especially then. Cooper couldn't walk at the end, could barely breathe, but he still tried to help rescue those 43 dogs on his last Christmas Eve. That's what heroes do. They keep serving, keep loving, even when their bodies fail, even when the world has given them every reason to quit. This story was inspired by true events, but created solely for entertainment purposes. The narrative does not condone, encourage, or promote any form of violence or harmful behavior toward animals or humans. All characters and events are products of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to real people, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental. The story aims to highlight themes of redemption, compassion, and the healing power of human-animal bonds, while acknowledging the serious nature of animal abuse and the importance of proper animal welfare.